Okay, folks, today we're going to be shooting some Winchester SuperX Buckshot. These are 12 gauge, 3.5-inch loads. These are number 4s. They have 54 pellets in them, and they're moving at 1,150 feet per second. So, we're up here at 50 yards, and we're going to be taking one of these big, beautiful shells, and we're going to be shooting it at a 12-inch circle, and we're going to see how many pellets we get from 50 yards. And then we're going to move down to 30 yards, and shoot from there off my knee to make sure we get a good steady shot. And today we're using our Remington Express 3.5-inch magnum. Remington calls them super magnums. It has a 28-inch barrel and a kick 6.65 choke. So let's shoot this great big shell and see what we get. Inside of our Winchester SuperX hull, we find 54 pellets of number 4 buck, which is 24 caliber. It's in buffer over top of a fiber wad, which is over top of a plastic base wad, which sits over top a disc type powder. We could weigh it and find out how much it is, but it really wouldn't do us no good because we don't know what kind of powder it is. There's your Winchester SuperX number 4 buck broken down. All right, here we go. All right, let's see what we got. Here we have the target for the Winchester SuperX's, the 3.5-inch 4s. Here's the box here that we shot from 50 yards. We only have 6 pellets in the 12-inch circle. We only have a single pellet in the 8-inch circle. So that's a thin pattern. But these are 24 caliber balls. These are not little bitty bird shot. This would easily dispatch a coyote, no problems. It would even take a small deer, easy enough. A big deer, like a buck, with lots of muscle, this would have had trouble with. It probably wouldn't. You probably wouldn't have got him. But this is about what you can expect with buckshot. Once you get up to about 50 yards, you're probably only gonna get about 10% of the pattern in a 12-inch ring, and that's what we got here. We got a little bit more than 10% of the pattern here in this 12-inch ring. So for coyotes and small deer, this is fine. For a good sized buck, you want him to get up there 30, 40 yards, not much further, in order to make sure that you're going to get him without having to go get the blood dog or spend all night tracking him yourself. So, all right, so we moved down here to 30 yards, and we're going to be testing the Winchester SuperX's, the 3.5-inch number 4 buck. We're going to shoot these here from 30 yards and see how they pattern out of this Remington Express Super Magnum. So let's get started. Let's shoot these things. See if I can't knock the air out of my lungs with this thing. Shooting 3.5-inch buckshot sitting down up against a tree is not really advisable. This is something you want to shoot freehanded standing up. But for you, I'm going to do it. All right, I can breathe. Let's go see what we got. All right, so here we have the target shot from 30 yards with the Winchester SuperX 3.5-inch number 4 buckshot with the 54 pellets, and it is moving at a 1,150 feet per second. And here's the box. This is what the box looks like. This is for deer and predator. Some people would say number 4 buck is too small for deer, but I don't subscribe to that notion. We have in this 12-inch circle here, we have 24 pellets, That would be about 45% of the load from 30 yards out of that kick 665 choke. This is very acceptable to kill a deer. We have an 8-inch circle here, the smallest deer round. Is going to have an 8-inch circle for their lungs. So we have ventilated this deer quite well. This deer will not go that far, and we will find it. So from 30 yards, the number 4 buck out of the 3.5-inch Remington 870 do just fine. All right, so here we have our Browning Citroi. Remember, it has a 710 choke in it, which is a factory full choke. We're up here at 30 yards with a 3.5-inch Winchester SuperX Buckshot. We have a 12-inch bullseye target down there. Let's shoot it and see how this buckshot patterns. Can't tell for the sun glare. Let's check it out. We're up here at 50 yards with our Winchester SuperX 3.5-inch number 4 buck. And down range, we have a 12-inch bullseye target that we'll be shooting to see what kind of pattern we get. So let's shoot it and see what happens. All right, folks. Some final thoughts on the Winchester SuperX, the 3.5-inch number 4 bucks. Today, the combination of the Remington with the 665 choke and the Winchester SuperX was by far the best. At 30 yards, we were getting about 40% of the pellets on target. At 50 yards, we were getting around 10%. The Remington would have got the job done, especially on close shots. We would have had no problem getting their deer. The Browning was very inconsistent today, and it was just plain pitiful. But you have to remember, we had a 710 choke in that Browning, which is the factory full choke. We didn't have any special chokes like we do on the 870 in that gun. So it's not really apples to apples. But with that particular choke combination and that gun and this shot, it's not a very good combination. The best we did at 30 yards was 35% of the load. The first shot, the one that we're going to show you on film here, was 20% of the load. So, I mean, we just didn't do very good. And both of them at 50 yards, your typical 10% or so of the load. That's just what buckshot does when you start getting into those open distances. Unless you have a special gun with a special choke and you spend a whole lot of money on it, that's kind of what you're going to get from these sort of setups. So anyway, so the Remington 870, its combination of choke, shot, did well. Would have got a deer, no problem. The Browning was pretty disappointing. So until next time, y'all stay safe in the deer woods, and God bless. That hurt.